My life is full of statistics. Thing is, I could have dropped out of school and become one myself, but I didn't because I had people that believed in me. Here's another statistic. 7,000 students drop out every school day. That's one every 26 seconds. It's time that students know that we believe in them.
Inspire a student and share your message of support at boostup.org.
Hello and welcome to the Road to Recovery. I'm Trisha Farrar, CEO at the Recovery Center, and we're so happy to have you with us as we offer help and hope and healing. My co-host Steve Rao is not with us today, but no worries because we are in good hands with our guest today, Matt Friesner. Thank you so much for joining us today, Matt.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been great talking with you before the show, and I'm excited to ask you a lot of questions. So you are a brave soul to come forward, a person who has had a very successful life, but you've had a couple bumps in the road, and you're back on track.
Yeah, I think that's just part of life, and the title of the show kind of describes the things that I've been through. It's a road, everybody's journey is different, and everybody takes a different path to get to where they're at, and yeah, I'm excited to share my story a little bit.
So that's wonderful, and I think sometimes those bumps that we get to in the road help guide us, like you're saying, to where we need to be, and also to offer our experience to others after that. So we're really pleased that you're willing to share with us. So I'd like to hear a little bit about your growing up, because it sounds like you were very involved in the community.
Yeah, I think back fondly to my childhood. I have two great parents that are still married. Which I think today's day is something to be excited about.
Yes.
They celebrated 35 years this past summer, and they've just been there for me, and I think did a great job raising my sister and I, and I didn't really want for anything, but they took care of us, and I never really had a challenging childhood. I never. My parents didn't use drugs or drink or anything like that, so it wasn't I was a product of a family like that. I never really had to worry about that type of thing.
So you came from an intact, pretty healthy family system, and you were very involved in sports, is that right?
I was. I started playing sports when I was very young. I think I probably started soccer at 3 years old, and played a couple of sports through high school. Football just kind of became my sport. It's the one that I really wanted to pursue the most, and I was fortunate enough that I had some parents that were able to help me get to college, and for my sister and I, and I got a chance to go to Capital University and play football there, and
which is not an easy thing to accomplish.
No, and it was a great experience. It was, I always say it was the best 6 years of my life, but I was there for a long time as a student, but I got a chance to play 5 years of athletics there, and a couple years on the track and field program as well, but so sports has always been a big part of my life.
Well, that's phenomenal. So after college, then what?
I actually had a serious knee injury my 5th year of college, about halfway through the season. That took me out, and I kind of figured that would probably be the last chance I would get to play football again. But God had different plans, so I got a chance to play in the Arena Football League for 3 seasons, and once again, it was a great experience, and memories I'll have to cherish for a lifetime. So.
Yeah, that sounds very cool. Okay, so post-college you started working?
I moved back to Lancaster after living in Columbus for 7 years, and I think after you play sports, especially whether it's at the college level or the high school level or professional level, that's kind of been who you are, and that's kind of defined who I was for a long time, and that was really difficult to, okay, how do I find something that stimulates me, that I'm passionate about, like I was that sport. And it was difficult, and I just didn't feel like I had the value just being an everyday person that I did when I was an athlete. You don't go to work every day and have someone cheering for you,
right,
and tell you what a great job you did on the portfolio today or anything like that. So that I think that's kind of really where my drinking and my addiction, so to speak, really took off.
Okay, so it was after college, you were kind of refocusing, different lifestyle, and you started drinking a little bit.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's kind of where it took off, and it all started, I think at least for me, it wasn't like I had this addiction that kind of, ran my life. Mm-hmm. It was more or less that's what I used to cope with my everyday, I guess, feelings of feeling inadequate or just failures that I saw in myself. I tried not to think about those or that was my solution, was the drinking.
So sometimes people who are really high achievers tend to kind of look down on themselves. Nothing's ever quite good enough, and then we can start having some problems with alcohol or other drugs. Has that kind of been your experience?
Yeah, and I think that's hard for people to understand. Is like, oh, well, you've had this, all this success, or you've had all these things going your way in life, but I feel like, addiction can strike anyone. It doesn't matter what kind of family background you had or whatnot. It's an individual thing, and for me, it was rough. It was, that's how I handled my problems, and I look back now, and I wish I would have picked a different thing, but that's helped shape me, and that's the the road I took to get to where I'm at today, and I wouldn't necessarily change it because of who I am today, and I'm proud about that.
Well, good. You should be. And I think the really cool part is, too, that you were able at such a young age to figure out that wasn't working for you. So what happened that caused you to realize that you needed to make some changes with your drinking?
Well, I think everybody kind of has that moment where it says, you have to want to do it yourself. My family really pushed me to get help. A lot of I have a big extended family, and I think you try to hide it as long as you can from those around you, especially your loved ones. But I think you're not as good as hiding it as you think you are, and you really only fool yourself. And my family knew long before I thought they knew, that I was really struggling with drinking, and I finally just said, you know what, I think I'm ready. And not always do you get it the first time. I went to treatment twice, and I know there's a lot of recovery here that's just starting to build, but I needed some intensive inpatient help, and I was able to get that. Had to go out of town, but I was able to find a great place in Portsmouth, Ohio, that really led me to a lot of great people that really helped me learn to live without it.
Great, and thank you for the reminder that not every time that we try something new do we accomplish it the first time. Sometimes it takes a couple tries, and I think that's really important for us all to understand with people that we love that are new in recovery, that it may take a couple times, and I think sometimes seeds are planted the first time, but sometimes it takes more than one try to get where we want to be.
Absolutely, and I've been sober for a while now, and I get the opportunity to talk with maybe families or maybe a church group or something that they said, I'm dealing with this. What can I do to help, my loved one? And I say, you know what? You have to support them to a certain point. Try not to enable them, but at the same time, it has to be that person's choice to say, you know what? I'm finally ready, and that's right. The best way to go about it.
And by enabling, what do you mean by that?
For my situation, I would try, if I didn't have a job, which there were times I didn't, I would try to finagle money out of my parents any way I could, or things like that. But for me, I mostly had a job the whole entire time, so my enabling was like my parents watching my child. While I went out and drank or things like that. So I think you can enable in different ways. But eventually, I had to face the facts that, I had an issue that I needed to go seek some help for. So.
Well, you've certainly broken a lot of the stigma already, just a few moments today, sharing with people that you grew up in a healthy family, you had a lot of career goals, you were successful in college, and your sharing about enabling is really helpful too, because family members seem to want to be there for the person that they love and help them, but sometimes their help isn't really helpful. So what were the things that were most helpful for you when you got into recovery? What really led you into the right path?
I think the first thing was that I wasn't a bad person. I might have made some bad choices that, maybe led me into some legal issues, which, I had some of those as well. But I think ultimately it was that I can turn my life around starting now and go back to being a successful person. It might not be in, football, but it could be in, another passion of mine. And I could make a real difference in my community, just using my past as an opportunity to speak with maybe young people or family members of someone who's dealing with addiction, or someone who's looking to get help and doesn't know where to turn. I think that provides me a platform, a ministry, so to speak, to help other people and to feel as good about myself now as I did, when I was scoring touchdowns or putting on the helmet and shoulder pads. So.
Sure, absolutely. And you have mentioned that there are some really positive things that have happened in your life as well. Can you share what has been going on lately?
Absolutely. I've been sober for 17 months, 2 weeks, and 1 day.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's a huge accomplishment.
I couldn't have done it without the support of my family and my friends and loved ones. But a lot has happened since I got sober, and I got married last November. So
awesome.
So just coming up on a year of marriage, and we have 4 children. We just had a little baby girl a month ago. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah, so
Great.
it's exciting that those opportunities now. It's an opportunity to enjoy life and enjoy my children sober. And it's so rewarding, and it's so refreshing to see that you can overcome your struggles and your battles and live a productive life. So
that's beautiful. And you have a career as well that you're
I
focusing
do. I'm an exercise therapist, and so I get to work hands-on with people on a daily basis. And like I said, that provides me a platform. If someone mentions that, there's they have a family member who's struggling. I can kind of plug that, hey, I've been there, I've done that, and, any way I can help, let me know, and just kind of, like you mentioned, plant that seed. And I get an opportunity to work with young athletes from the area, and that is so rewarding, to kind of maybe help steer them down a different path and kind of let them know what I've been through, and, try to help them maybe shape some of their choices in life. So
that's wonderful. And with prevention, you never know how many lives you touch, but I can guarantee you, you're touching lives.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing.
I just try to go where God leads me, and if that's to help somebody else, then I'm more than willing to do that.
Well, real quickly to wrap up, what advice would you give to somebody who's struggling with addiction or a loved one of someone?
I think if you're a person struggling with addiction, you kind of have to get to that point where you know that what you're using to solve your problems isn't working, and it's kind of like, how long do you pound that round peg in a square hole until you realize that's not working and try something different? And that's kind of what happened for me, and that you're not a bad person, and that you can eventually live a productive life if you just get the help that you need. And I think if you're a family member, just do the best you can to support them and let them know that you love them. That's what kind of kept me going when I was at my lowest points, is that, I knew my family supported me and that they loved me, and that they just wanted to see the best for me. So.
That would make all the difference.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Matt Friesner, for joining us today on Road to Recovery, and keep doing the good things that you're doing in the community and inspiring other people. Again, Matt Friesner, and I'm Tricia Farrar with the Road to Recovery. Please join us again next time.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.